My name is Emily Hart, and I am 73 years old. It has been nearly 60 since I last stepped foot in Willow Creek. Time can be cruel and kind all at once. Cruel for hiding so much from me. Kind for giving me this chance. Perhaps. My last today, I sit on the porch of that Victorian house with tall windows and weathered wood, worn by California sun. The same house where I spent a year of my teenage life. The same house that held all my secrets, including the one I never told anyone. My granddaughter, Emily Hart, is with me. She's 32, with sharp eyes and a stubbornness I recognize. Far too well. She came with me because I insisted, but she doesn't understand why. All she knows is that I wanted to come back here before it was too late. "Are you sure this is the right house?" she asks, looking at the handwritten number on the mailbox. Cross. I stay quiet for a few seconds, just watching the wind sway. The curtain's upstairs. It feels like someone still lives there. I need to know if he's still alive. I say finally. Lena frowns. "Who, Grandma? Who are you looking for?" I take a deep breath. The words have been stuck inside me for so long that speaking them out loud hurts. The man who took care of me when I was 13. The man who should have been my tormentor, but became part of me. She looks at me like I've lost my mind. "You're talking about your legal guardian?" "He was more than that," I murmur almost to myself. "And less too," I decide, to knock on the door. Lena tries to stop me, but I can't explain how much this matters. Not now. Maybe not ever. The door creaks open. A man appears, old, thin, with white hair and an unshaven face. His eyes meet mine, and he stops, as if he's seen a ghost. "Evelyn," he whispers, his voice thick. Lena gasps behind me. "You know my grandmother?" He looks at her, then back at me, and with a deep sigh he says, "I do. I raised her." There's a heavy silence between the three of us, and for the first time in decades, the past knocks on my door. If you enjoy stories like this one, comment. I want more. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and like the video. Elias Cross stood aside, silently inviting us in. Lena hesitated, her eyes darting between us like she was watching a scene from a movie she didn't understand, or maybe one she feared. We stepped into the hallway, and the scent hit me first. Old books, cedarwood, and something else. Something familiar. Something that made my chest tighten. He closed the door behind us. "I never thought I'd see you again," Elias said quietly, his voice hoarse with age, but still carrying that same weight, the kind that could silence. "A room," Lena crossed her arms. "You raised her? What does that even mean?" Elias looked at her, then at me. "You didn't tell her?" "No," I admitted. "I never told anyone." There was a long silence before he motioned toward the living room. The furniture was mostly covered in white sheets like ghosts frozen in time. We sat down, three people connected by something none of us fully understood. Lena turned to me. "Vovo, what is going on?" I swallowed hard. It was time. I came here because there are things you need to know about your mother. And about me. Her face paled. "What do you mean?" "You always said she died when I was a baby." "She did," I said softly. "But not the way I told you." Elias leaned forward, resting his elbows on his knees. He looked tired, worn out by years of regret. "You were born in this town, Lena," I continued. "In this house." Her mouth fell open. "This house? No, that doesn't make sense. If my mom was born here, how come she wasn't?" I interrupted gently. "You were." Silence. Lena stared at me. "What are you saying?" I took a deep breath. "You weren't adopted. You were taken from me." Her hands trembled. "Taken?" Elias looked away. I could see the guilt in his posture, in the way his fingers curled into fists. "When I met your grandmother, she was just a girl," he said. "And I was not the man I should have been." Lena's eyes flickered between us. "You were 13?" she whispered. I nodded. And you had a baby? Tears welled up in her eyes before I could answer. I gave birth when I was 15, I said, my voice barely above a whisper. And they told me you were gone, that you died. But I didn't, she said, her voice cracking. No, I agreed. You didn't. A heavy silence filled the room. Who took me? She asked. Elias finally looked at her. I did. Lena shot to her feet. What? I wanted to protect you, he said quickly. From everything. From the world. From me. She backed away. You kidnapped me? No, I said firmly. Not exactly. Elias shook his head. It started as a lie, a way to keep you safe, but it became something else. Lena looked at me, betrayed and confused. How could you let this happen? I didn't know, I said, tears slipping down my cheeks. Not until much later. By then, it was too late. She wrapped her arms around herself, shaking. So all my life, I've been living a lie? No, I said. You lived a truth someone else decided for you. She looked at Elias, fury in her eyes. Why now? Why bring this up now? Because I'm dying, I said simply. The words hung in the air like a final toll of a bell. I don't have much time left, and I couldn't leave without telling you the truth. Lena sank back into the chair, stunned. For the first time in my life, I had told the whole truth. And instead of relief, I felt heavier than ever. That night, I couldn't sleep. Lena had gone to the guest room, silent and withdrawn after everything we'd revealed. Elias offered her tea, but she refused. He tried to apologize again, but she shut him out. She didn't want words, not yet. She wanted time. And maybe a reason to believe either of us ever deserved forgiveness. I sat by the window in the room I once called mine, staring at the moonlight spilling over the hills. This house hadn't changed much, not on the outside. But inside, it was full of ghosts. And tonight, one of them finally whispered back. I remembered something. A letter, hidden beneath a loose floorboard near the bed. Back when I was 16, just months before I left Silver Creek for good, Elias gave me a sealed envelope. He said it was something he wrote for me, in case anything ever happened to him. I never opened it. Not because I wasn't curious, but because I was afraid of what it might say. Afraid that it would make everything real. Now, decades later, with my time slipping away and Lena caught between betrayal and understanding, I needed answers. So I got down on my knees, ran my fingers along the baseboard, and pressed gently. There it was. The wood creaked as I lifted it, revealing the small space underneath. The envelope was still there, yellowed with age. My name written in his careful, slanted handwriting. I stared at it for a long time. Then I lit the lamp beside the bed and broke the seal. Dear Evelyn, if you're reading this, then I'm gone, and if I did this right, you're older now, wiser, maybe even a mother yourself. I hope you are happy. I hope you've built a life far from me. But if you found this letter, it means you came back. And I know why. You want to understand. You deserve to. So let me tell you what I could never say out loud. When they placed you in my care, I told myself, I was doing the right thing, that I was protecting you from your past, from the people who would have taken you away, from yourself. But the truth is, I kept you because I couldn't bear to let go. I told myself it was love. Real love. But I knew, deep down, that love doesn't hide behind lies. I watched you grow. I saw the fire in your eyes, the way you fought for every bit of freedom. I saw how you looked at the world like it owed you something, and how you learned to survive when it didn't give it freely. You were never mine to keep. But I did anyway, and when you got pregnant, I panicked. You were 15, scared, beautiful, and I saw in you the same strength I had always feared, the kind that would eventually destroy me. I made a choice that day, a selfish one. I told everyone the baby died. I told you the same, but I couldn't bring myself to give her up, Not completely. So I raised her, watched her grow, held her when she cried, told her stories about the mother who loved her, even if she didn't know it. She looks just like you, in every way that matters. I don't expect you to forgive me. I only ask that you understand. I never meant to hurt either of you. All I ever wanted was to be someone worth remembering, even if it meant becoming a monster. Forever yours. Elias Cross. I closed the letter slowly, my hands trembling. It wasn't an excuse. It wasn't absolution, but it was the truth. And for the first time, I understood, not just what he did, but why. He didn't steal my daughter to hurt me. He stole her because he was afraid of being forgotten, and now, standing at the edge of my own end, I realized something else. He succeeded. I never forgot him. Not for a single day. Lena didn't speak to either of us the next morning. She sat at the kitchen table with a cup of coffee, untouched, her eyes fixed on the horizon like she was trying to find solid ground in a world that had suddenly turned upside down. I watched her from across the room, my hands wrapped around a mug of tea I wasn't really drinking. Elias moved quietly behind me, making breakfast like nothing had changed, like we weren't all standing on the edge of something irreversible. Finally, Lena spoke. You raised me, she said, not looking at him. You lied about my mother. You told me she died. Elias stopped chopping vegetables. He didn't turn around. I did, he admitted softly, and I would give anything to take it back. Lena laughed bitterly. That doesn't fix anything. No, he agreed. It doesn't. She stood up abruptly, chair screeching against the wooden floor. Did you ever think about what she might have wanted? She pointed at me. Did you ever consider that maybe, just maybe, she deserved to know? Elias looked at me then. And for a moment, I saw the man he used to be. The one who made decisions out of fear, not cruelty. I thought I was protecting both of you, he said. From the truth. From each other. From me. Lena shook her head. You don't get to decide that. Her voice cracked on the last word. I finally stepped in. She's right, I said gently. You didn't get to decide. Elias exhaled and placed the knife down carefully, as if even holding it felt dangerous now. I know that now, he whispered, but I didn't then. There was silence again, the kind that feels heavier than noise. Then Lena surprised me. She walked over to the living room and picked up the letter, read it again, slowly, carefully, her expression unreadable. When she finished, she looked at me. He loved you, she said simply. I swallowed hard. Yes, I admitted. He did. And you? She asked. Did you love him? I didn't answer right away, because I wasn't sure what the truth was anymore. What I felt for Elias Cross wasn't simple. It never had been. It wasn't just pain, or betrayal, or even forgiveness. It was everything tangled together. I don't know how to explain it, I said finally. I hated what he did, but I never stopped loving him. Lena closed her eyes. This is so messed up, she muttered. I nodded. Yes. It is. Elias finally looked up at us. I understand if you never want to see me again, he said to Lena. If you hate me. If you need to walk away. She stared at him for a long time. Then quietly she said, I don't hate you. His breath caught. But I'm not ready to forgive you either. He nodded slowly. I understand. For the first time since we arrived, I saw something shift in his face. Not relief, not hope, just understanding, acceptance. We were all still broken. Still figuring things out. But we were doing it together, at least for now. That night, Lena and I sat on the porch together, wrapped in blankets against the cold California air. She hadn't spoken much since breakfast. But now, with only the sound of crickets and the occasional rustle of wind through the trees, she finally broke the silence. I've been thinking, she said quietly, about everything. I turned to her, waiting. I used to think I knew who I was. she continued. Daughter of a mother I never met. Granddaughter of a woman who raised me with love. I had my own story, my own past. She looked at me, then, eyes glistening. But now, it's like none of that was real. I reached for her hand. It was real, I said gently. Just not the whole truth. She nodded slowly. I keep wondering what would have happened if things were different, if you had known I was alive, if he hadn't lied. I smiled sadly. So do I. Lena leaned forward, resting her elbows on her knees. Did you ever try to have another child? She asked softly. I hesitated. Yes, I admitted. After I left Silver Creek, I got married, had 2 miscarriages, then nothing. She looked. Surprised? You never told me that? I didn't want to burden you with my ghosts, I said. And after losing them, I couldn't bear to talk about it. She swallowed hard. I can't imagine what that was like. No, I murmured. You can't. We sat there for a while, just breathing in the cool night air. Then she said something that made my heart stop. What if I'm not ready to be your daughter? I blinked, caught off guard. What do you mean? She looked at me, uncertain. I mean, I've spent my whole life calling you Vovo, loving you like a grandmother. And now, suddenly you're my mother? That doesn't change how I feel about you. It just makes everything complicated. I nodded slowly. I know. She wiped a tear from her cheek. And I don't know how to fix that. I reached over and pulled her into an embrace. You don't have to fix anything, I whispered. Not right away. We'll figure it out together. She clung to me for a moment, and I held her tightly, as if I could make up for every lost year with this one hug. When we pulled apart, she looked at me again. Can I ask you something? Else? She said. Of course. She hesitated. Did you ever stop loving him? I stared at her. The question wasn't easy. It never had been. I don't think love just disappears, I said finally. Even when it should. She frowned. That scares me. I know, I said. It scares me too. We sat in silence again, watching the stars blink above us, and for the first time I realized something. This wasn't just about uncovering the past. It was about learning how to live with it. Together. I woke up with a heavy chest and trembling hands. The morning air was crisp, but it did nothing to clear my head. I could feel the weight of time pressing down on me, not just because of my illness, but because of everything that had been said, everything unearthed. Today was the day. I had made my decision. Lena was already in the kitchen when I came downstairs. Elias stood by the counter, pouring coffee like he had done every morning for years. But this wasn't just another morning. This was the moment everything would change. I sat down across from Lena, meeting her eyes. I want to go public, I said. She froze mid-sip. What? Elias turned around slowly, his face unreadable. I've kept this secret long enough, I continued. It's time the world knows what happened. Lena set her cup down carefully. Are you sure about this? She asked, voice low. Once it's out, there's no taking it back. No, I agreed. There isn't. Elias stepped forward. You don't have to do this, he said gently. Not for me. Not for anyone. I looked at him, really looked at him, and saw the man who once held my hand as I cried myself to sleep. The man who betrayed me. The man who raised my daughter. The man who loved me in a way no one else ever had, and still does. I'm not doing this for you, I said. Or even for me. Lena frowned. Then why? I turned to her. For you, I said softly. For every girl who's ever been silenced. For every mother who's been told her pain doesn't matter. For every child who grew up wondering if they were ever truly wanted. She swallowed hard. This will destroy him, she whispered. I glanced at Elias. I know. He didn't flinch, just nodded, like he'd been expecting this all along. Do what you must, he said simply. You've earned that right. Lena stood abruptly. I need to think, she muttered, heading toward the door. I reached out. Instinctively. Lena, she paused but didn't turn around. I just need a minute. Then she was gone. I stared after her, heart breaking all over again. Elias walked over and sat beside me. She'll come around, he said quietly. I shook my head. That's not what I'm afraid of. He looked at me, confused. I'm afraid she'll never see you the same again, I admitted. And neither will I. He exhaled. I don't expect forgiveness, he said, but I hope someday she'll understand why I did what I did. I studied his face, searching for something. Regret, fear, maybe even peace. And then I made another choice. One that would change everything. I won't go public, I said suddenly. His eyes widened. What? I took a deep breath. I won't tell the world, I repeated. But I will tell your story. Our story. Not to hurt you. Not to seek revenge. But to make sure no one else suffers the way we did. He stared at me, stunned. Why now? He asked. After everything, why choose? Mercy, I smiled faintly, because I finally understand you. He closed his eyes briefly, as if holding back tears. And because I love you, I added. Even if I can't always like you. He opened his eyes again, and I saw something shift in them. Gratitude, pain, release. I don't deserve that, he said. No, I agreed. You don't. Outside, Lena returned, her expression unreadable. I heard part of that, she said. Did you just say you're not going public? I nodded. But I am writing our story, I said. If you want to help me, I'd be honored. She hesitated. You mean the truth? All of it? All of it. She looked at Elias, then at me, and slowly she sat down. Okay, she said. Tell me everything. The days that followed were like walking through a minefield. Each conversation, each glance, each silence carried the weight of everything we had unearthed. The decision not to go public didn't erase the damage. It only changed how we would carry it. Together. Lena began helping me write the story. Every evening after dinner, we sat at the old wooden table in the kitchen with Elias watching quietly from the corner. He never interrupted. Never tried to justify himself again. He just listened. And in his silence, I saw the man he had become. Not the one who stole a child out of fear, but the one who now understood the cost of that choice. Still, healing didn't come easy. One afternoon, Lena and I went for a walk along the edge of the forest behind the house. The trees stood tall and ancient, their roots tangled beneath the earth like our past. I still don't know what this makes us, she said suddenly. I turned to her. What do you mean? She hesitated. I mean, I've spent my whole life calling you Vovo, loving you like a grandmother. Now, you're my mother, and he's... She exhaled sharply. He's both my grandfather and the man who lied to me my entire life. I nodded slowly. It's confusing, I admitted. For both of us. She looked at me, eyes filled. With something between sadness and frustration. Sometimes I feel like I'm losing myself, she confessed. Like I don't even know who I am anymore. I reached for her hand. You're still Lena, I said gently. You always have been. Just, now you know more of your truth. She wiped a tear from her cheek. But what if I'm not ready for that truth? I pulled her into a hug. That's okay, I whispered. You don't have to be. Not all at once. We stayed like that for a while, wrapped in the quiet comfort of knowing that no matter what, we were still here for each other, but not everyone was ready to move forward. That night, Elias disappeared. At first, I thought he'd gone for a walk, but when midnight came and his room remained untouched, unease settled in my chest. I found him sitting on the porch steps staring at the sky. You left without saying goodbye, I said softly, sitting beside him. He didn't look at me. Was going to, he admitted. I thought maybe it would be easier for both of you if I just disappeared. I studied his face. Is that what you really want? I asked. He finally met my gaze. No, he said quietly. But I think it might be what you both deserve. I shook my head. You don't get to decide that, I said firmly. Not anymore. He sighed. I keep hurting you, he murmured. Even now, I don't know how to stop. I reached for his hand. Then let us help you, I said. Let me help you. He looked at me, surprised. You should hate me, he said. Both of you should. And maybe part of us does, I admitted. But love doesn't just disappear because someone made a mistake, especially not when that someone is still trying to make things right. He closed his eyes briefly. I don't know how to be better, he whispered. Yes, you do, I said. You just have to try. He squeezed my hand, and for the first time in years, I felt something shift between us. Not forgiveness, not yet, but hope, a fragile, flickering thing. And sometimes that's enough to keep going. It was early spring when we finished the story, not just the words on paper, but everything. The telling, the remembering, the forgiving, or at least the beginning of it. Lena typed the last sentence and leaned back in her chair. She didn't say anything for a long time, just stared at the screen like she was seeing more than the words, like she was seeing us reflected in them. I sat beside her, Elias across the table. We had all read it together, each taking turns reading aloud. It wasn't easy. There were moments when Lena's voice cracked, when Elias looked away, when I had to stop and catch my breath. But we did it, together. She printed the pages and placed the stack between us. What now? She asked quietly. I looked at Elias. Now, I said, we decide how to share it. He exhaled slowly. I don't expect people to understand, he said, or forgive me. They might not, I admitted, not fully. He nodded, accepting. But maybe, Lena added, surprising us both, someone out there will read this and feel less alone. We all smiled faintly at that, because that's what stories do. They connect us, even across the deepest wounds. A few weeks later, I fell ill again. This time, it felt different. The doctors said it was only a matter of time. I didn't argue. I had lived a full life, complicated, painful, beautiful, and now I was ready. Lena never left my side. She read to me, held my hand, whispered secrets she had never told anyone else. And sometimes, we just sat in silence, letting the quiet speak for itself. Elias stayed close too. Never too near, never too far. Watching, waiting, loving in the only way he knew how, quietly, fiercely, with his whole heart. On my final night, the house was still. The moonlight poured through the window, casting soft shadows across the walls. I could hear the wind rustling the trees outside, the same trees I used to run under as a girl, trying to escape from him, from myself. Now, I wasn't running anymore. I was coming home. Lena was asleep beside me, her head resting against my shoulder. I reached out and touched her hair gently. Elias stood by the door, watching us. You should rest, I whispered. He shook his head. I've waited too long to miss this, he said. I smiled faintly. You always did have a dramatic streak. He chuckled softly. I learned from the best. I looked at him, really looked at him, and saw everything he had been, everything he had done, everything he had become, and I saw something else too. Peace. Not for what he did, that would take lifetimes to earn, but for who he was now. I forgive you, I said softly. His eyes widened slightly. I know, he whispered. Thank you. I turned my gaze back to Lena. My daughter, I murmured. Elias swallowed hard. She's yours, he said. All of her. I closed my eyes for a moment. Yes, I said. She is. When I opened them again, I saw the light. Soft, warm, calling. I reached for Elias's hand and then for Lena's, and with one last breath, I let go.